You know I've traveled near and far, see the shining sea. I've seen a lot of places and people that were nice to me. One place that's in my heart, and this is how I feel. I'm talking about my hometown, Fayetteville. She's nestled in the sandhills on a river called Fayetteville. Special to so many who proudly served our country here. She was named for Lafayette and known for cotton mills. I'm talking about my hometown, Fayetteville. My hometown, Fayetteville. I'm so proud to be from here. It don't take long when you're away from home to find out how you feel. It's always good to come home to Fayetteville. Babe Ruth hit his first one, heard around the world. Sherman marched with the Union and burned the arsenal. Old Market House still standing, but stands for freedom's will. I'm talking about my hometown, Fayetteville. My hometown, Fayetteville. I'm so proud to be from here. It don't take long when you're away from home to find out how you feel. It's always good to come home to Fayetteville. My all-American city, Fayetteville. Talking about my hometown, Fayetteville.
Hello.
That's purposeful for you.
Hey, you did that on purpose.
I got the switch over.
Test it. Oh, by you. If not,
Tell you.
you can use mine.
Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, October 10th, 2016 Fayetteville City Council meeting. Would like to ask our resident Bishop Wright to come forward, please, and lead us with an invocation. Bishop Wright, if you would remain at the podium following the Pledge of Allegiance, we'd love to hear something about your mission in your church.
Well, thank you, sir. Since you asked me, I'll be glad to do that.
If everybody would please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for this meeting. We thank you for our council, our mayor, our city manager, and staff. We thank you even for the county, Lord God, in this great state. We're in the midst of crisis. We ask you to help us. Bless this council, God, to make great decisions going forward and how we would better fix our city to be greater than it is already. The scripture says that when trouble comes in like a flood, that the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against it. Now, God, we're in the midst of the greatest storm possibly in the history of this city and our state. Help us. Give us wisdom, lead us and guide us. make our city greater than what it is, and we thank you for it. In the precious name of him whom we serve and worship, in the name of our Christ, the Lord, amen. To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bishop Wright, tell us something about your mission.
We're Heal the Land Outreach Ministries here in Fayetteville. We're, matter of fact, in District 2, and Councilman Kirk Deviere comes and see about us from time to time over there. We thank him for that. And we are poised to be a outreach for the least of these in our city. We feed the homeless. We do summer programs. We do mentoring. We do giveaways. And most of all, we spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm proud to be a member of the City Council because it gives us greater insight on how we as a church need to be more involved in the community, more involved in our local politics. And I encourage all churches to get more involved in the process.
Bishop, I know that recently you had delivered a truckload of water to some needy. Tell us something about that trip, if you would.
Absolutely. That was an outstanding moment for our ministry, not only our ministry, but for the city of Fayetteville. My son, he asked, Dad, why don't we raise some water for the people in Michigan? And I thought about it, but it confirmed that that was something that we should do. The radio stations got involved, the public got involved, churches got involved, the city got involved, and just a whole array of people. Also, Walmart donated 2 18-wheelers. We collected as a city and also Outward counties over 2,000 cases of water. When we took that water down to Flint, Michigan, and delivered it to the local churches there, and they said, wow, this must be God because we just ran out of water Saturday. We had a great water giveaway, and we showed up Monday to replenish. The people were excited. We need to continue to pray for Flint, Michigan. And that's just, some of the missions that we do. Christ said if we give one person a glass of water in his name, we shall not lose our reward. So a part of that is helping those that are in most need. Now that we've done that as a city of Fayetteville and ministries, we also now in the city of Fayetteville need help because we got more water than we can handle. And so thank you for the staff that did a great job, the city manager, and all of those rescue squads. They've done a great job this weekend. The council was all over it through, talking to each other. And I'm so excited to be a part of this great council and part of this great city. And I'm looking forward to the future of this great city. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bishop Wright. Council item 5.0 is the approval of the agenda. I'll go to Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, our city and our community has endured devastation, natural devastations that we've never seen at this magnitude in a long time, if not ever. So we know that business is not usual. So with that being said, as Fayetteville remains under state of emergency, we need our citizens to know that this council is concerned with our residents' safety and the loss of property due to this devastating Hurricane Matthew. So at this time, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to clear tonight's agenda and move all items to a specially called meeting on Monday, October 24th. And as a part of that motion, I would ask that we add item 6.1 to tonight's agenda to allow discussions and updates in regard to the recent weather-related topics.
Second that, Mr. Mayor.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Councilmember Arp. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Attorney.
Mayor, we also need, in addition to moving the items from tonight to October the 24th, we also need to add Ms. Broyles' item, which is the budget amendment as it relates to the hurricane. And that should have been listed and for you at your dais.
I think Mayor Pro Tem's motion could include that. but if we need to amend it to an item 6.2, which would allow for Ms. Broyles' amendment, that's fine too.
So yes, Mr. Mayor, Council, so I'll amend the motion to reflect the presentation, item 6.2.
And I'll accept the amendment.
Madam Attorney?
I'm sorry, sir. One of the things that we would also ask the council as part of that is they have an economic development grant that needs a public hearing, and if we could have you call for that public hearing for the October 24th meeting as well. It's item 2 on the sheet that you have in front of you.
Okay, so I'll amend the amended motion to reflect what the city manager just mentioned.
Mr. Manager, can't that just be added to that 24th agenda like you would any?
It is asking the council to call for a public hearing for an economic development grant application.
Very well. Okay.
I'll accept the amendment to the amendment.
Mr. McDougal?
I think the city manager covered what I had, which was to make sure that we were meeting all the deadlines, especially in those items that were on our consent agenda. And Jim, the Lord provided me a mic.
He does have mercy, doesn't he?
Grace is good.
Okay, council, seeing no further discussion, I'll ask for your vote, please. And a button, Mr. McDougal. You got it.
I did?
Yeah. That's unanimous from members present, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Mr. Hewitt, you want to provide us a brief backstory on some of the activities that have gone on before we introduce Mr. Bullard?
Yes, sir. As you know, we had an unbelievable amount of rainfall over this past weekend, and I am have been very pleased and with the response of both the city staff as well as how we've partnered with our friends at PwC as well as at the county. Many of you had an opportunity to go through the Emergency Operations Center this weekend and could actually see coordination and collaboration between these governmental units. There's not been a thing that your staff has been asked to do, whether or not it be to go and get food, whether or not it be to go out with chainsaws in the dark of night, or in many instances during the height of the storm. Many of your staff members in fire, police, and parks and recreation also went out in boats to rescue people off of porches. It was quite amazing and quite frightening as well to hear some of the calls that came in over the radio while we were downstairs in the EOC. One of the ones that was most chilling to me was we had a call that there was an elderly lady walking down Wilmington Road with a walker, and water was up to her, up above her knees. Michael Gibson's crews also fielded calls of they had a boatload full and they looked over and saw children on a porch, and we had to try to make provisions for them. It truly was a life-saving effort. And as I said this weekend on more than one occasion, if people want to know what your government does, they only need to look at what your city government did this past weekend and what we continue to do. It's very humbling to be here. But with that, I'd ask that Scott Bullard come forward. He will coordinate our efforts as our emergency management coordinator in the days past and also in the days present and future. And after him, we'll get Chief Major, Chief Kelly, and we also have our friends here from PwC, Dave Trago, and Carolyn Justice Henson, and Rob Stone is here if you have questions about infrastructure, as well as Jerry Dietzen about solid waste collection as well. But we're standing ready to answer any questions you have, but we'll lead off with Scott Bullard.
Thank you, Mr. Hewitt. Mr. Bullard.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and Council, and literally anybody listening to the sound of my voice, either in this chamber or out. Help me, let's make Fayetteville strong. Fayetteville stumbled a little bit, but Fayetteville's standing up, and after I present our recovery vision, I think you will agree with me when I'm done that Fayetteville's going to be open for business tomorrow. We're not going to be perfect, but we're going to bounce back. On a side note, I talked to a good friend of mine who's an assistant fire chief in Cedar Rapids this morning, and you all probably know what happened in Cedar Rapids several weeks ago. They were obliterated. And he said, let me tell you, he said, it hurts, but he said, it's going to get better. And he said, you all are just like Cedar Rapids. You're going to bounce right back. And I truly believe that. Since Fayetteville was formed. The Cape Fear River has been our barometer for politics and the weather and many different things. No one gathered here among us has seen the level of the water that we've got out there at the moment. It's historical when you go almost 24 feet above flood stage, and that's something that our grandchildren hopefully will never ever see. We're going down. We're about 21 feet over, and the river's falling, and for Fayetteville, that's great. Our sister communities around us right now are not so lucky. That 14 and 0.82 or 84, depending on who you listen to, inches of rain, plus the 10 the week before, has really laid the pain and misery, not only to us, but the downstream areas. I have to digress just a moment and give you a commercial because I have a personal stake in it and talk about the search and rescue efforts. It is unprecedented for our area to have federal urban search and rescue teams helping us out. But I want to give a caveat to that is because Fayetteville has a partnership among fire, police, and EMS. We have a team modeled in that image. It's called North Carolina Task Force 9. So even the professional heavy hitters come to town, I want you to know that we've got the same capability, maybe a smaller scale, but we're patterned after what the federal government sent us. And all of them together collectively have been magnificent. It's a beautiful machine to see it run, and they are saving lives. I don't have to tell you about the 701 people that were pulled from the water and countless other figures that I'm sure Chief Kelly will present behind me. All of those are incredible celebrations, but it's because we've built that capability and because we have people committed to it. You had New Jersey Task Force 1 and Ohio Task Force 1 to come to town, which bring 80 people with them, 6 to 8 boats per group. What I would invite you to envision is these are solutions toolboxes of the most highly trained people in the country with the resources at their disposal, air assets, technical equipment to get the job done. And it's exciting to be a part of that, but also we have almost a carbon copy of that here. And as we speak, they're out in Bladen County right now trying to help the downstream areas. So thoughts and prayers from our whole community for what they're trying to do. And we got to mix with the incident support team, which is a blue team that assembles some of the best people from all over the country to guide that effort. And they're right now sitting in the Cumberland County EOC strategizing about who they can rescue next. That says a lot for our community, and I'm proud that this effort came together, especially among all our joint agencies. Okay, enough about what I wanted to celebrate. There are people in our shelters right now. We still have 5 stood up. The updates you've been given are not fundamentally different. When I left the EOC a few moments ago, there's about 122 in the population there. We had a peak, if I can look at my notes, Sunday night of 503. That goes up and down. In the daytime, people leave to go out and try to handle their affairs or acquire things that they need, and then at night, the population will swell back up. I'm going to touch on, when we start talking about our volunteer agencies, how this discharge planning process is going to be critical, because we have people among us that have lost everything. So there's no home to go to. And I'll touch on that when we talk about recovery. But the sheltering part was critical because as we pulled people out of the water, we had to have somewhere for them to land and get nourishment and water and just be out of the storm. And it was pulled off with just incredible connectivity with the county and the city, and we have a lot to be thankful for, and we have a lot to be thankful for that we didn't lose a lot of lives. Let me throw a concept out to you that the state seized on several years ago, and I'm going to get in a roundabout way to tell you why Walmart's a great thing to have. The state has a concept called a POD. POD stands for point of distribution. Everybody's been to McDonald's and gotten a cup of coffee or something through the drive-thru. The way the drive-thru works is you don't ever stop or get out of your car, and it's timed. They give you what you're supposed to have, and you go on. These point of distributions are being set up, 3 in Walmart cases. Hope Mills is one of them, the new one down on 301, and 1 in Spring Lake. And additionally, with that, Seabrook Elementary and District 7 Elementary outside the city. And the way this will work, our bottled water will be distributed that way. You'll pull your car into line, you'll pull up, either pop your trunk or open your door, they'll put the water in your car, close your door, and away you go. and it's a circular motion. The reason Walmart plays so well into this, Walmart uses a cookie cutter for their parking lots. There's a natural inflow path and an egress path. They can set up the pod in a Walmart on both sides, double the amount of people, double lanes. We can serve people that much faster. And that's why Walmart is a great place to stage these, and they're very willing to be a part of it. And secret hidden agenda to the whole thing is Walmart oftentimes can restock their shelves. So if we're running out of water on the line, we can reach into their storeroom or warehouse. Good partnerships, good relationships. So you may get a question from your constituents, or people out there listening to me might wonder, what's a pod? How do I get water? That's how we'll do it. These are the locations. They're going to be publicized. That's where we want people to go. Now, if there's some reason they have transportation challenges, we'll work that out. But we want to get water to everybody out there that needs it. That leads me into talking about what I'm collectively going to call sort of our recovery plan and vision at the moment. We had a declaration, FEMA 3880, that was cut on the 7th of October. It was mailed out. The copy's been distributed. If anybody needs to see it, I'll share it with them. It is a very limited declaration. It's not the giant FEMA bags of money from heaven fallen. It's simply designed to cover emergency protective actions for public assistance. Translated, what that means is the emergency actions we might take to clear roadways, to staff emergency operations centers, to do those sorts of things that support life-saving, public safety, public health, and things that are directly temporary, short-lived sorts of things. That's what they collectively call PA. The part that our citizens are suffering with is called individual assistance. And that's the part we're hopeful that's going to kick in very shortly. I know it's being looked at, and we're seeing sort of indicators that are falling into place that might happen soon. I know the county mentioned it, that they've been in discussions with the state. The individual assistance will bring, at the actual grassroots homeowner level, things that they can do to restore their lives. But it's not going to be quick. This is going to be long and protracted. One of the things that we have kind of set up to launch tomorrow, we're working on windshield surveys that will lead to a much larger damage assessment survey. This is one of those sorts of things you kind of have to be patient with. It takes a while to get the real arm wrap around all that's happened. It requires incredible documentation on staff, not only GPS coordinates, but photographs, and a tremendous amount of information that will be rolled up so that when the state and feds come in, it's a handoff and we accompany them around and get the hardest hit areas, because we're chasing that magic number, whatever they set, which I'm sure we're going to meet to qualify for full aid. That's still out of our hands. That's FEMA driven, but the declaration we got on the 7th of October is a 75-25 cost share. The state in past disasters has jumped in and lessened that 25 sting a little bit. I don't know if that'll happen this time. My crystal ball is kind of cloudy and wet right now, but something has to be done along those lines because there's such widespread suffering. Another thing that we've spun up is we pulled the triggers on our debris management and debris monitoring contracts that we just maintain as a matter of routine. Those are the people that will come in and help us do the heavy lifting with getting rid of household haz waste, the contents of buildings, construction debris that had to be thrown away, carpet, what have you, that got wet. They will also help us clear all sorts of vegetation, logs, any sorts of things that are blocking or accumulating. And they will also help us find a way to dispose of that. Some of it has to be ground in a barrel grinder. Some of it can go straight to the landfill. So this is going to be a very organized effort, but we brought in some people that are used to processing millions of tons of this sort of debris, much like the tornadoes of 2011. The difference is this time it's all flood driven and not high wind driven. And that will spin up tomorrow as their project managers get into town. If there are questions for Mr. Dietzen, it's going to cause our curbside processes to kind of alert the public and change a little bit, because things will have to be kind of pre-sorted. The household garbage can still go in the roll-off, but if you've got vegetation, it needs to be out in one pile, construction debris in another, so that we don't add to and make more work for ourselves trying to separate it. And there'll be more information coming forth on that. Let me speak real quickly about individual assistance. It's unusual, but early registration has been set up online. And we've kicked that website out, and we'll continue to kick it out. And everybody at the sound of my voice, please help me encourage them to go online and start typing their name and address in. That puts us so far ahead of the curve when FEMA actually comes to town. And if we have people who have digital challenges, they don't have access to computers, that's something we want to help them do. I know the library system on the county side is closed down, but as soon as we can get the libraries up and running where public computers are available, we want them to go to disasterassistance.gov and make that happen.
Mr. Bullard, that's very important. Please repeat that.
It's
The whole process.
disasterassistance.gov, and you can do it to help your loved ones, neighbors. They don't have to file it. It starts with a name and address, and that's the important part to get out there. Let me get back a little bit to what our non-governmental, faith-based partners, volunteers and disaster sort of agencies are doing. We're working right now to create sort of a disaster hotline and a disaster receiving point because people want to offer services, they want to offer commodities. Some of that has gotten kind of sidetracked a little bit because we've had to scramble and get the water as fast as we could get water out, because that's a critical life-saving thing at the moment. As things move from this point on, especially the faith-based partners are going to help us start to process resources. We'll have to look at about storage and how we're going to distribute things that are donated in from the community. There are tractor trailers rolling right now behind the scenes with water and other sorts of things that are being donated. And more of that will be reported out because literally we haven't had time to get through the inventory on that and match that to the needs. With that being said, all the more important that we have those community partnerships. Back during the tornado storms, we had a group of faith-based institutions get together and create what they called the Cumberland Disaster Coalition. And it was a group of churches in the beginning that started out, and their timeline was when FEMA left. If FEMA didn't do all that was needed, how do we help the resident continue to recover? Because in some instances, there's not the perfect solution. Things don't return as they were before the storm. And that can be a myriad of problems. It can be insurance issues. It can be simply, and this is the one that I do not want to happen, is people not filing. If we can't get you in the system, we can't help you. And we're going to do a huge push and a campaign on that as we go forward. And I'm subject to any questions you might have. I've got some folks that are going to follow me, including Chief Major, with some fire department comments. But throughout this process, if you think of something, I'm here and glad to answer any questions that we can answer.
Thank you, Mr. Bullard. Council, I would ask that we hear from all the speakers because your question will likely be answered, and then if we can bring everybody back up to answer questions at the end. Is that
Very good, sir.
fair?
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you very much. Have you gotten any sleep in the past 3 days?
A little bit. Good.
Well, thank you very much for what you've done. Chief Major.
Good evening, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, and Council. First, I would like to offer our thanks for the support of the City Manager's Office and Mayor and Council. That's very important, and it does a lot for us, so we really appreciate that. The one thing that people always hear me talk about is partnerships, and I'm Scott Bullard. He spoke a little bit about the partnerships, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but one of our greatest resources is the partnerships that we've developed with the different agencies, the first responders, support agencies. That really makes our job easier, and it does a lot to help our community and our citizens. So we really appreciate that. Of course, as you know, we're really busy. My understanding is within the Communications Center, and Chief Kelly may speak to this, we probably fielded somewhere around 4,000 calls over the weekend, which is quite a feat. One of our jobs at our command center at Station 14 was to pick up those calls and prioritize and get the resources where they needed to be at the right time, which was quite a task. I know we did a lot of things right, at least I would hope, I'd like to think we did a lot of things right, but there's always room for improvement. So sometime in the upcoming weeks, we're in the recovery phase, but sometime in the upcoming weeks, we'll do an after-action review because there's always room for improvement. So you should receive some of that information or maybe even get some invite, but that's where we move down the road. But again, we thank you for your support and the city manager's support. That's an important piece of the puzzle. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hey, Chief Kelly.
Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, I want to also thank Mr. Hewitt and city staff. I don't know if I was set up or not, but this is my first trial. I'll tell you what. But I want to echo what Chief Major said is I was extremely proud of the employees of the city of Fayetteville. I've been a citizen of Fayetteville all my life. I'm an employee of the city of Fayetteville for almost 22 years, and the cooperation that between fire, I don't want to name the folks and leave somebody out because I don't want to do that. Everybody was instrumental, but the cooperation, I know we sometimes tug at each other about mine, but when the stuff hit the fan, there was none of that, and I was proud to be a city of Fayetteville employee. To go even further is, we still are human beings, and some of our folks, first responders, had situations. I know of several officers who have lost everything in these floods, and to have to leave their homes and their families and to come to work and you not know what happened to them. I was upset at our folks because I didn't know that we've had officers and civilian staff lose everything they've had to this flood, and they came to work as if nothing happened to them. So that is a testament to our folks that we have at the city of Fayetteville working for this community. So first we started planning for this event. Tuesday of last week, we drew up an operations plan, and we automatically notified the staff that we're all hands on deck. The storm is coming, regardless of what the forecast was saying. We're all going to be here until this thing is over. So we formulated a plan. We moved some folks around to have staff in at the appropriate time to where we thought that it would be worse. So we brought all our folks in. We activated the Crime Information Center about 1 o'clock when the rain really started hitting and the floods started to come. So we had our folks activated. We brought in command staff to man that situation, and we rotated accordingly. So once we stood up the CIC, we started life and safety was our first priority. So we started basically what we did. We basically told the citizens, hey, if you're not in a life or death situation, we'll call you back or we'll get to you as soon as we can, so we can minimize those calls that weren't life and death and deal with those ones that were. So we started doing that. So at about a little before 2 o'clock, we had our we call it Rescue 2, our big armored vehicle. We put those guys out and started rescuing folks from there. That unit alone rescued 15 people from out of water at 30 different locations. So we was all over the city. I think we actually burned up the alternator running that vehicle all night long. So that vehicle was vital to the operation of this city and saving folks' lives. So once we did that, we actually had an officer, Durham, who actually saved a child off Washington Street from high waters. We also had Officer Robinson, and I don't know if you've seen national news, but Lieutenant Joyce is now a celebrity. He's been all over the news. I think he just took the baby from somebody else and then took the picture. But that's just a testament of the folks that we have working in this city, and I can't say that enough. I've been here, but I hadn't really had the light shine on me. I'm responsible for what's going on, and that light is bright. But to have those folks risking their lives is humbling, like Chief said, and like Mr. Hewitt said, it's humbling to have people doing that for this city. I'm at a loss for words at what people will do for serving others. So we also had communication with the New York rescue team that was here. So we made contact with them. We went on a couple calls with them, helping rescue folks as well. We definitely appreciated, their assistance. We had 2 reported missing persons. We can't confirm one of them. One situation was across the river where an elderly man said he had left his medication inside of his house. He said he had a person who he did not know was with him go inside the house and did not come back. And then the gentleman left, didn't know who this guy was, so we don't know if it was a person with him trying to make some kind of fraud. So that was one of the missing persons. The other one was off of Morganton Road, where a gentleman got out of his vehicle and willingly walked into rapidly moving water. So fire rescue and police responded. They canvassed the water. They brought out dogs to search that area. The fire department searched. The police department searched. Without avail, we did not locate that subject. Fire department put out a release of this person being missing. We didn't put a picture out because we still can't confirm if it was him or not. We know it's vehicle, but don't know it's him. He has been put in DCI for if in case he comes up. Shelters was checked. We went out again. We put boats, cadaver dogs in the water to try to find this person. We've contacted his ex-wife, who was his only known next to kin. We've contacted her every day since that incident happened to make sure he didn't come home. He still hadn't come home yet. So all the appropriate measures were taking place to try to find this guy, but we still hadn't had success with that. We had an issue with the vehicles, and the fire department had the biggest issue with the vehicles starting to flood in the middle of the road. So that hampered fire's response to getting to calls. But Chief Major's folks called our folks, and we've had towed vehicles. I think Michael Gibson was doing some stuff late in the night, and he also called, and it was a lady who was upset about her dog not getting rescued, so nobody was getting rescued. So he politely called us, and we politely moved her on. So, but we towed a lot of cars, but we also put this information on Facebook so folks can know where their cars were, because we didn't have. I hadn't watched the news in about 3 days because I also lost power in my house. So, and I have 3 kids at home, and they're worse than the storm was. But Facebook and social media played an intricate part in. And I think, along with some other things, Mayor, if I don't know if I can say it, or not, but you probably know what I'm talking about, along with some other things, that we didn't have a lot of loss of life. But social media, I think just from this storm alone, we gained 11,500 more followers. And that's how we got the information out, telling people not to get on the road. I don't know if a lot of them listened, but they saw it. But that was vital to the information sharing to the public. And I think that's something that we've been doing, and we're going to ramp that effort up even further to get. A lot of people didn't have power and news and stuff, but we got information that we need to get out in a timely manner. So that was very successful. So we were doing good until we lost power. So the police department lost power a little after 2 o'clock that day. So we were blind. We were running calls without cameras, and then communications went down as well. They had to use portable radios for a little while, so we lost all of our technology capabilities, but we still were able to make some good rescues. So that's it in a nutshell. Just know that council, that you have some excellent employees. We work together very well, and I was extremely proud of the men and women of this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for your partnerships as well. Mr. Trago. Mr. Trago, I want you to know that you are the probably 90% of the calls this council has gotten to talk about how great PwC is, but when can we get our power back on?
Well, let me first of all say I'd like to also thank all the first responders with the city, the county, and as well as PwC. Sometimes the worst of situations can bring out the best in people, and I think we've seen that with our people. Like the police chief said, we had many of our line workers come in, starting to work in the middle of the storm, having to leave their families, not knowing what was going on back home, and they worked all night restoring power. And I think that's part of why we've been able to make significant progress through this storm, because we had people staged at our building 7 a.m. on Saturday before the storm really hit, and we started restoring power as we got the calls in. Just to give you an order of magnitude, we probably had, of the 80,000 electric customers, over 40,000 of them sometime during the storm period had their power turned off for a period of time. As of about 6 o'clock, we were down to under 1,300. So we've made significant progress, but we will not be happy till every single customer is back on. We started working from our main lines where we're able to get large groups of customers on. Now we're starting to concentrate on the side streets, the cul-de-sacs, and the single homes where a service line might be down in somebody's yard with a tree. Those are the ones that we are going to be addressing. We started addressing today, and we will continue to address over the next couple of days. We've also, through our mutual aid agreement, through Electricities of North Carolina, have some additional crews to come in and help us as we get to this last stage of restoration in getting the last customers on. So they'll be coming in and helping us out. Tomorrow I signed the agreement that we have with that particular area, so we can also thank the mutual aid assistance that we get from other utilities. So we'll continue to be restoring power. We've been able to identify those customers. Many of them have called in. We've been able to use our advanced metering system to check and make sure which meters we do not have service to. So we have a list, and we will be going out and prioritizing those. On the water side, we asked the mayor, and he agreed to sign a proclamation having mandatory water conservation. That's because with all the roads that washed out, we had a number of water mains that broke. We were losing pressure in our system. We've been able to identify a number of breaks. We have valved them off and capped them, so we are building pressure back up into the system. We also, because we lost pressure in the system, have issued a boil water advisory. Again, that's out of an abundance of caution to make sure that there are no issues. We will be starting to do the testing that is required by the state of our entire system tomorrow, and hopefully we will get the test results back and we'll be able to lift that boil water advisory in a couple of days. It takes a couple of days to get the test results back and certified before we can release that boil water advisory. But just to remind everybody, the mandatory conservation proclamation that was signed basically says that you can continue to use water, but is for essential hygiene and health needs. And that includes if you do need to drink water, you can boil it and drink that water. You can wash yourself with it. You can do essential hygiene with it, but we just ask that customers do conserve as much as possible, because that will help us build the pressure back up in the system faster so we can restore normal service as quickly as possible. So I'll continue to provide updates to the mayor and our liaison, Mr. Arp. I know he's been communicating with the rest of the council on where we are, but we will continue to be restoring power, and I appreciate all the support that council, city staff, and county staff have given PWC during this time frame.
Thank you, Mr. Trago. Mr. Trago, along with the fire and the police, we certainly appreciate your men and the linemen that are out there. Not all you guys sitting at desk during the week, but those fellas that were out after midnight doing the job that none of us want to do. We do appreciate that very much. Mr. Stone? Okay. This is Rob Stone with Engineering and Infrastructure.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I'd like to also reiterate what we heard. As impressive as these 2 weeks worth of water we have seen, the cooperation between the city, interdepartmental, outside department has just been impressive. It's been amazing to see. Chief Major, one thing he wanted me to point out was that the only thing these two things had in common was that since I've been here, so I think he's calling me a jinx for these objects. So hopefully, I hope that we can get some good weather here and do away with that rumor. I did want to brag on our group quite a bit. Our street maintenance group, they were here kind of similar. We had a crew staged. They came out even before the storm started to get to, again, start addressing areas where we had trouble spots that we know have trouble spots. They go get those cleaned out. In the process of the storm, if you're aware, our Alexander Street facility was flooded. The last information I had, they had about 4 or 5 inches of water. They were still trying to work, so they left there and went. Our Alexander Street includes our traffic engineering, which is our traffic services, our construction management, our street maintenance, and also our real estate. So that building was pretty much a total wash. I want to thank Mike Gibson and his crew have really done a lot in the last couple of days to get that stuff out of there. They've set up a temporary workspace for our people that were there that need office space here in the new Cape Fear room. So they'll have a place to go to actually get some work done tomorrow. So hopefully we can start resuming some regular services at that time. Also, Mike's group has been really just amazing. They went in there and to get rid of the carpet, start cleaning up that building. I mean, it was something to behold to walk in there and see that amount of mud. Anything that was above the second level of the file cabinet was gone. I mean, the furniture's gone. Any computers that were on the ground gone. We lost some equipment. We lost traffic. A lot of traffic signal equipment was there. Some of our sign shop equipment was gone. So we've been working really. We've got a lot of response for help for that. So I really want to give credit to the guys and the gals that were really working hard in the middle of this. City street closures. We're still in the process of doing assessments. One of the things we were worried about is once that water recedes, what was done damage-wise, even the things you couldn't see. So we've been doing assessments on that. A lot of the things have been fixed. A lot of the roads are slowly being opened up. We still have a few issues with power lines and trees. I think that's slowly been worked through as the groups get to them. We still have a few roads that were buckled because of the water that washed under them and buckled the pavement. We had one major washout from the previous one. If you remember from the previous rain, we had Sykes Pond Road washed out, but we also lost Shawcroft Drive, which is the main entrance to Kings Grant. And I want to thank Councilmember Jensen for all her help really getting that. There is a temporary solution that we're looking at, and hopefully we'll start on that first thing in the morning. We're working with the contractor. Just a group come together and put that together. So, and also we lost Sipple Avenue, which was one of the main entrances to Rayconda. So those two places, these residents are basically trapped inside there. So again, the first aspect was to make sure it was safe. The next thing is to get some type of temporary access to them. Hopefully that'll be completed on both of those. We've got plans in action. We actually met this morning with contractors. We met with budget and fiscal to make sure we got all our bases covered so we can get at least make sure everything's covered with FEMA. So we've got someone started on those to make the temporary. So once we get the traffic on that and give them access in and out, then we begin the process of trying to repair the work. Unfortunately, with those type of culverts that were there that were washed out, these are not easy fixes. So we're looking at an aggressive schedule. We're looking at maybe 10 to 12 weeks at an aggressive schedule. If everything goes that we could get those, we hope that'll be possible. We had some issue with one of our city-owned dams, Mirror Lake, that one at Van Story, that one also washed out. That is the only one we know that is temporary, that is currently closed. I think Devonwood Lower, they actually had the road down to one lane, so we're still assessing that damage and see when we can get that repaired. There was one private dam, Aaron Lakes at Greenock Drive. If anybody's been by there, that is amazing to see what happened to that. We did have a city-maintained road on that facility. However, since that was a private dam, we have no, that'll have to be worked out through the development, how that gets repaired. I know they'll be working with DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, and the Army Corps of Engineers to work through that. We also been working diligently from a traffic signals portion of it. If anything that got power back to it should be working properly. So the ones that you see are out are simply because the power's not there. As soon as power comes on, we'll go assess it. We did have signal cabinets that were completely underwater. We had some that were brushed up with water, so we have to wait until the power gets back to see what needs to be replaced. But there should be no more on flash. And again, we ask if you do happen to see one on flash, let us know as soon as possible. Or if one is not operating quite like it should be. I actually went home yesterday and noticed that the Walmart, the two left turn lanes at Walmart wasn't getting a signal. I mean, it just sitting there red, and traffic started backing up, and the people started running it. Called I actually called dispatch. They got a traffic signal technician out there and repaired it. So anytime you see something like that, we would definitely appreciate any knowledge of that as soon as we can.
Who does somebody call if they see a signal not working?
If we'll go through dispatch, that'll be the quickest way. All our dispatch has our local dispatch has all the information for that.
Is that a phone number? Who is dispatch?
Just the city dispatch.
911.
911 would be the easiest way.
Call 911 if the signal is not working.
Yes, sir. They have it, and we also have some other ways. If Fayette will fix it, I think we have our local toll-free number for Fayette Fix It number. That's also a way of getting there, but dispatch would be the quickest. So right now, I think we're still with about 25 to 30 signals that are out. So as we come online, we'll get those repaired. And one of the problems we did have also, as I mentioned, we lost Alexander Street. A lot of our signal equipment that we used to go repair signs and signals was also in that So far, we've been able to do well getting that repaired. We have had offers from other places, so we do have contingency if we run out of material. So one thing I would like to stress too is that we did lose the signal system monitoring station that was actually in traffic services. So we do have we do have still that they're not just running random, but the main control board that control these signal systems to keep everything moving as smooth as possible is out right now. We do not have a time period of when that will be up. So we're still working on that. We'll keep everyone posted on that. Just mention real quick, environmental services and transit. I think they are on normal services other than the detour routes that we have in place at a few roads that are closed or need to be detoured. Airport, I think the last thing we saw is normal operation on that. And I'm open to any questions you had, but definitely want to appreciate all the other partners we've had with this. This has been a humbling experience.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stone. Thank your people as well.
So.
Mr. Gibson. Give us an update on facilities. Mr. Stone said that they were completely flooded out. Tell us about our rec centers and other facilities, please.
Good evening, Council Mayor. I'll tell you, and echoing everything everybody else has said, this was a lot of water. And some of our buildings sit in low-lying areas. As far as City Hall go, right now we're on artificial power. We were lucky enough to have some forethought to bring in a generator that could handle one of our rec centers. PwC was very good in getting that rec center back onto generation power, so we were able to move that system over here and get this building up to about 80%. We've been blessed enough that PwC's got the power back on Hay Street, so we'll be running power, switching back over to their power tomorrow. Just before, probably about 3 o'clock, maybe about 3:30, Festival Park Plaza is back up and running. Our rec centers, we have all of them have power, but we have some of them that had some flood damage. We're working with those. 2 of them are still being shelters, Kiwanis Rec Center and Smith Rec Center. So we're doing some abbreviation of our schedule, opening up at 10, coming in at 6. The rest of our buildings, on Gray Street, our maintenance shops on Ann Street, our 121 main office, all of those are up and running. Our gas pumps, we're underwater during the storm. We're getting that fuel system tested tomorrow to make sure that we can use that gas and diesel fuel that we're underground. For the most part, hopefully by 10:30 tomorrow morning, everything will be up and running, and we'll be operating normally by Wednesday afternoon. Thursday, we'll be ready to go.
We'll wait. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. All right, Council, we've got several of you that have, I know, several questions. So if staff would stand by. Councilmember Deviere.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'm going to depart. I'll let you speak as a group for our appreciation for the staff so we don't all go through and do it. So I'll skip through that if that's okay, Mr. Mayor. I think it goes without saying that how we all feel. Scott, just a quick question. So great site that we got directed to, had some confusion with some constituents because as you know, we're reaching and touching a lot of constituents that we're not actively a disaster. We're not claimed as a disaster area right now, so they're having some problems moving through that site. So is that where they need to continue to go? Because what we don't want to do is cause confusion with our citizens.
Correct. Disasterassistance.gov is where they need to go for now. And at the top, above their banner, they list Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. I should restate, it's unusual that they're pre-registering like this. Usually, until that individual assistance comes out, they don't launch it. And a lot of that is tantamount to knocking on doors and carrying a paper and a clipboard around. That's generally how it runs, because in a disaster area, like here now, you have power out and you have facilities that are unreachable. There is a little misunderstanding, I think. The public doesn't understand why public assistance is not for the public, and it's government assistance for infrastructure and life-saving measures. It looks like they could come up with a better word choice on that, and that's understandable. It's really a confusing time anything happens. The
So-
main thing is to register. At all costs, just start registering.
So we have a lot of what I think a lot of us are hearing are citizens and businesses that need help. Whether above and beyond insurance or no insurance or just needs, completely devastated, they need to go to this site and register, business or individual.
Businesses, let's hold off on businesses for just a moment because there's a piece that fits kind of in the middle here. Over a week ago, Small Business Administration had come to town, and I have some folks behind me who I've personally met with who had losses from that first flood, and they're here tonight with us. They had started their damage assessment process where they offer loans and other products to help those businesses get back into place, and then the massive storm comes. They suffered additional losses. The good news there is that assessment process had already started. The state visited, the state had data, it was in motion. My expectation is that continues. They come back to town because they had already met that threshold to start helping the businesses. Some of these pieces, though, are not all connected together, and they kind of rotate on their own inertia until FEMA sets up a disaster center wherever it is they decide to set it up.
So where do we need to direct? Citizens go to one place, businesses, I'm just looking, and whether you give it to us now or we get it in a sheet from the manager or through you so that we can clearly provide information, because we want to facilitate that as best
sir.
we can.
Well, on the one hand, from that website, we need to get our citizens, their households registered.
Okay.
Whether they think they're eligible or not, put your name and address down so that that mechanism can move forward. We can use our call center like One Fay to triage names and addresses in the same manner that FEMA's doing it. It would actually help us if you have a business loss, send us the name, the message. We might even be able to put it on Fayetteville Fix It. We might be able to configure it that way. I'm not sure, but we'll look into that. How we just need to capture data at this point because the damage assessment that I'm going to do doesn't count.
Right.
It's the one when FEMA comes in, the PDA, as they call it, preliminary damage assessment. That's the one for all the roses.
Okay.
And this process is going to be protracted and kind of drawn out because it's going to take time. They're going to have to visit every individual address given to verify and do what they do.
We understand. I just want to be able to
Yes,
direct
sir.
people where they need to go so that they
Absolutely.
feel like they're being answered. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, I'll be relatively quick. On the water side, just real quick question. You don't have to come all the way back up. Is there a way that we can accelerate the testing? I know a lot of times, we've seen different labs get accelerated. I'm sorry, I guess you have to come up so people can hear you. Thank you.
The testing and certification process is a state mandated process, so there is a time frame that is mandated by the state process to get the testing done and to get those test results certified. So we're subject to that to make sure before we can release the boil water advisory.
Okay, thank you. Hazardous materials, I don't know who wants to tackle that one. As the water has kind of come through, we have businesses. I was down at an auto, they've got gas, oil, hazardous materials, things like that. How are we looking to address those environmental concerns as part of the recovery?
Yes, sir. When we meet with our debris management contractors tomorrow, haz waste is a piece of that. Some of it may require specialized equipment that we may or may not have, and if that's the case, contractor will provide it.
And so as part of this debris management, that is where we're going to see the city becoming clean. So we're going to have, not just citizen stuff going to the curbs, but other stuff across the city being picked up.
Yes, they pick up automobiles, they pick up anything that's destined for the landfills or recycling or vegetative disposal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Manager?
Yes, Scott, while you're there, could you also share what the city staff inspections, code enforcement, and others will be doing?
The windshield survey I spoke of, our code and permitting and inspections folks and zoning folks are helping spin that up because they're the ones that are usually out in the field. And I'll give you an example among the disciplines with the electrical inspectors. If power was pulled to one of the residences because of the flood water, the household member can't go in and just automatically get the power turned on. It has to go through a licensed electrician who will then request a permit of the city, and then the power is reconnected. That's a safety function, but at the same time, we're capturing there's a household with major damage. So that information, because of that group, it will spin up into what we're trying to accomplish. And they're literally kind of an extender of that whole process, and they will play a role throughout the whole damage assessment process. And they're experts in their trades, and we intend to use that capacity.
Thank you. Mr. McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to start off by saying to Chief Kelly and to the mayor that I started getting texts at 6 o'clock on Sunday morning before my 8:15 service. They told me that the mayor told us not to have church.
You listen to your mayor, Mr. McDougal, you'll be a smart man.
Well, the text kept coming. Somebody told me they saw it on Facebook, so I want to confirm with Chief Kelly. And I had not just one or two, but I think half of my membership. So I don't know if y'all were calling them or they were just listening to you. So ultimately, I did cancel both services. But certainly want to thank you for it. I believe it. Think about church income. Spiritually, some people needed to be there, but we did as you asked. I do want to ask Mr. Bullock. Now, it seems like a simple thing for most of us, but it may not be simple. When you talk about registering, what are the reasons that I would want to go out and register? In other words, I had a tree fall down on my house. Is that a reason to register? Or do I need to wait for FEMA or you or somebody? Or do I need to cut the tree down and then register or take a picture of the tree? I mean, this sounds simple, but I've really not heard the details of why a person would go out and register. I've got a lot of limbs in my yard. Do I need to register for that? I've gotten all kind of calls since this started. Some of them valid, some of them I think are invalid. In other words, it's just simple things that go on all the time, and all of a sudden they got a reason to start calling me. I mean, can you just give me a list of reasons why people would want to register?
I'd be glad to, sir. If we exclude the bureaucracy sometimes that's involved in the federal government, it's literally a net approach to capture as much as possible so we don't have anybody fall through the cracks. Sometimes people are poor judges of the damage. I mean, if a tree goes through your roof and the water's running in, you can see the sky above, that's major damage. But some people oftentimes will make the mistake that they could have qualified for something, and after that time period passes and they call it off and the window closes, we don't want to see those situations where people are left out. And it also feeds back and helps us extend to places that maybe we couldn't see or couldn't look at the time. It improves our reach.
Yeah, but if I have homeowners insurance that would normally cover something like that, should I then?
Absolutely, you need to contact your agent.
But then should I file on the disaster assistance page that you just talking about?
What the disaster assistance page right now is doing basically is capturing just who you are and where you are, and that you think you might have a claim. FEMA will decide that process later.
Okay. I had a note here about, I'm not sure who asked this, what or any special help or time for staff, maybe that's for the city manager, those that, have we made any special allowances for them to be able to take care of personal needs? I know they've been working for everybody else, but are we making any special allowance for city staff that made such great contributions?
Yes, sir. We are looking for a way, once we get a little bit more stabilized, to be able to recognize meaningfully all of the staff members who were away from their families during the hurricane, and some of them at their homes still don't have power. Not all of our city employees live in the city and are served by Public Works Commission. Some of them are outside of the city, the county, and area as well. But we are looking into that. As for the city staff who did not necessarily respond to the hurricane but were at home, we also recognize that some of them may have damage at their house as well. And so tomorrow, our Human Relations Director and Human Resources Director will be working with Jay Reinstein to try to develop an ad hoc program that if we have any city employees who have individual needs at their homes as well, that maybe as a City of Fayetteville family, we can reach out and help them as well, which as I think is what we also see happening in the community. One of the things that I think Scott may have touched on is that at the EOC, one of the main areas was the kind of social services arena. It was a large table off to one side. And there we had the Red Cross, you had DSS, you had probably any of the other social service agencies. One of the things that they're going to be doing, they worked on it today and they hope to release tomorrow, is a directory of all of the various agencies, volunteer groups that want to donate their time, labor, and materials, and provide that as a directory, as a resource for those who are in need. But specifically as it relates to our employees who, some of them slept almost on cots, some of them slept in chairs, in trucks, depending on where they were stationed, and the work continues. We will be looking for a meaningful way to make sure that they are recognized and that they also have time and way to go back and check on their homes if they haven't already done so.
Okay, one other thing when it comes to the boiled water, I've told a lot of people today, I misinformed them. I told them to wait for another 48 hours. But hearing you, Dave, I think it needs to be much longer than that. In other words, we need to wait for you guys to tell us. Now, are you all going to make that available through as many venues as possible for us? I mean, not just one local station or your website, but somehow it needs to be made available. I've got people calling me everywhere about this boiled water thing, and I just tell them wait till they're here. Now, one of the complaints was that they weren't hearing that they were supposed to boil the water, and I heard it, but I don't,
Well,
but I got it off the email that were being sent out by.
Well, we communicated it as many ways as we could, including Facebook, all social media. When customers were calling in, we had it on our message when customers were calling in to report outages. We tried to communicate it as many ways as we can. But, there's no way to ensure that 100% get it because some people did not have power. But we continue to communicate that. It's on our website. And we will do the same thing, and we'll do the same thing when the advisory is lifted.
Right.
We will announce it every possible way we can, including contacting the media and
Yeah, I was
going to
suggest the media, especially the TV. I mean, our local WRL, WTBD, the 14 station stations most people
Absolutely.
listen to. I know Andrew got his hand up, but Andrew, you're a day late sometimes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. McDougal. Mr. Wright?
Yes, Scott, I just got two questions starting out because a lot of people don't have the Wi-Fi or internet. Could you name those 5 shelter locations and also the points of distribution areas?
Yes, sir. The shelters currently are set up at Smith Rec, Kiwanis Rec, Mac Williams, Southview Middle School, and which one am I leaving out, Michael?
Spring Lake.
Spring Lake Rec.
Okay, and hopefully someone that's listening could, hear that and help someone out.
Yes, sir. And typically, though, let me caveat to say, typically shelters are set up as close as possible to the demand, but the road infrastructure hiccups we've had to be creative moving people around. It's not as simple if you live near Spring Lake to go to Spring Lake Rec. We may have had to move you somewhere else because you just simply couldn't get there.
Right.
And we've had some questions about shelter populations, and that's one of the most fluid, dynamic things in the world because you can kind of come and go as you please, and it's real hard to track. The pod locations that you're referencing, and this has already been press released, and we're going to continue to push it, especially as it ramps up, because my expectation is we'll end up opening more pods. We can't open any more till we get more water, but as the water rolls in, and there are tractor trailers headed this way, right now we've got the Spring Lake Walmart up on Lillington Highway, Main Street and Hope Mills Walmart, the new Walmart out on Gillespie, or the 3 Walmarts, and then J.W. Seabrook Elementary on 210, and then District 7 Elementary up in Wade. I've had some questions about why Wade. Well, that was the closest point we could reach east over because of some of the highway issues, and it may move around some. We're trying right now to push some to Walter Spivey. It's a natural location. That was a hard-hit area. But until I get the actual cases of water, I'm kind of limited as how far we can go.
Okay, great. There was a question about boiling water. I got a call today that said restaurants were serving water at the restaurants, and did they know to serve water? But they didn't think they were boiling the water before they were serving it. It was just serving. So how can this get out to restaurants as well as residents, or does that affect restaurants as well?
I don't want to speak for our utility, but this is kind of a question that is in the lane of our sanitarian in the county, Mr. Ortiz, and his staff, and I'll be glad to take that to them. I'm sure that they've already plowed some of that ground, but I share your concern that you wouldn't want to be served that water.
Yeah, if you kind of get back with us on that to see if
Yes,
we
sir.
can shut that down.
And-
Yeah,
Mr. Wright, I didn't read the article, but I saw it online. So Fayetteville Observer has something about that right now, about restaurants and serving water.
well, hopefully they are boiling the water. That's my main concern, or using bottled water. The next, I got two more questions. The Army Corps of Engineers, we have extensive damage here in the city. I don't know the equipment that we have here, the city or the county, in the area of repair. But the Army Corps of Engineers, have we looked at, maybe partnering with them? They have equipment, they know the jobs, we can get it done quicker. Have we looked at partnering with the Army Corps of Engineers in any way?
The Corps has been involved in some of the stream flow issues that occurred. We use a formula in debris calculation from the Corps, but as far as having actually Corps assets involved, that hasn't occurred yet. That would be a request that would go locally to the state and then on to the federal government to be fulfilled if that were to happen. I think in our best interest right now, and I don't want to speak for Rob Stone, but they have pre-identified contractors here locally trying to keep the business locally, with the expectation that reimbursement money is coming. Now, if there were a dire emergency and we couldn't source equipment or materials locally, that might be one of the federal partners we reach up to.
Okay. All right, my last question, Mr. Mayor. Went over to North B Street. It's a flood out there off B Street. The little house is in the water. But I noticed some bubbles that were coming up out of the water, and the owner was there that owned the property. And I said, well, where's this water coming from underground? He says, that's not water, but that's gas. Is that true, or is that a danger to us immediately, or is just the fumes from, what is that?
Well, without being there to see it myself, I can qualify only by saying that our hazmat crews have responded some of those gas leak calls today. And there was a smell downtown from a leak that was under repair. The trouble with mercaptan in the gas, most of us are very sensitive to it, and we can smell it miles away.
That actually is natural gas. It was coming from the North Cool Spring Street area.
Right.
NC&G had been, Piedmont Natural Gas had been monitoring it. They are there actually on site. They can't get to the shutoff. So it is, you can see it erupting under the water.
Absolutely.
Continuously.
But
So
they're monitoring it, and it shouldn't be a big hazard at this point.
they are there on site.
And we pulled the electric in that area, so to eliminate an ignition source as well.
Okay, yeah.
The good news with natural gas is it's lighter than air, and it'll leave us very quickly. It's not like LP gas that will hug the ground, so that keeps us safer.
Thank you.
Councilmember Art.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ooh, that was loud. And Scott, thank you very much. One of the things, there's been some rumors today that, of course, the river's been very, very raised, and I think most of the flood warnings are south and east of us. But there's been some rumors that Jordan Lake, the Army Corps of Engineers has increased the flow. Can you confirm that that is in fact true, and that if there is an impact, that's been addressed, or should we expect an impact?
I can't substantiate anything. We've heard some of the same rumors in the EOC, and one guess on the public information side is that maybe some of the governor's comments got a little distorted in translation, because there were some other rumors about releasing dams downstream, even the Lumberton area and Bladen area, to save bodies of water and so forth. And none of that, as far as I know, has been substantiated.
Okay, I was trying to set you up for success there. I apologize. I did get an email. The Army Corps of Engineers has increased the flow of water at Jordan Lake, but it is not unusual, and they don't expect any impacts. But they are trying to release some pressure on the dam. And I just know some people had been worried about that today, and I just got an update, so I didn't know if you'd gotten it.
No,
But
sir.
for everybody listening, there's no threat with the increased water flow coming from the Jordan Lake Dam.
And that's something we'll try to get out public information-wise because of that rumor mill.
A lot of questions on that. Got a quick question for Mr. Trago. Mr. Trago, with all the hard work that you and your staff and linemen have put in, business continues, and some people have contacted me, and they're concerned about their bills and maybe late payments and assessments. Are there any provisions being made at this point for people, that because they're displaced or not able to get to their bills, how that might be handled?
Absolutely. We will take, customers can call. We'll be open for business tomorrow. We have the call center operational. If customers do have issues because they can't get to the bank, or their checks aren't being deposited, or they just have a general hardship because they are in this situation, we will work with every customer to make sure that they're not in additional hardship.
Yes, sir. And for the 1,300 customers who remain without power tonight, I think you shared a while ago that with the advanced metering, we know who they are. And so have we reached out in contact? I mean, there were some difficulties with the call center, I'm sure, just from the volume of calls you were
Absolutely.
receiving. But now that things are tapering down, have we reached out to them to say, hey, we know you're without power, we're coming to see you to get you squared away? And
Well, in a lot of cases with phone service, not, with people having phones that are operated by electric, it's very difficult to get a hold of them. But as we get down to the last customers, we will be trying to contact them as many ways as possible. But most customers have called in addition to us being able to ping those meters. And we have been in contact with those customers that they have called us as well.
sure, so for a time frame for the next 1,300, the remaining 1,300, next day or two, are you willing to make an estimate?
Not at this point, because you could have one or two customers that are extremely difficult to get to, because we still have some areas that we cannot get to because of down trees or roads being out. So I would hate to put an estimate on that and set an unreasonable expectation for customers. But today, we were working what I would call smaller volume type restorations, and we were able to eliminate about 2,000 of them today. So we'll continue to work those. We are getting assistance from those other municipalities that are going to help us, so it'll be all hands on deck.
Okay, and then for those neighborhoods that are isolated because of entry issues, we're able to get into Raconda and Kings Grant, we're able to get in there and service them with no difficulties?
Our line trucks can get a lot of places, so we've at least been able to run down the main roads and be able to determine where the trees are and where the issues are. Plus, customers have responded to our requests to call in if they see trees on power lines, if they have a leaking water main. And we've gotten a lot of information from customers, both on social media and calling in. They've been extremely helpful.
Okay. Scott, thank you, Dave. A lot of great effort here in Fayetteville. And so, there's still, my thoughts are, a lot of our surrounding municipalities are really, have been really hit hard. Hope Mills, Stedman, Eastover, a lot of flooding, Wade, Godwin, that area. Are we, now that we're reaching a point here, are we able to assist them, or have we been assisting them, and how can we assist them?
I think that's very much unfolding. Mr. Hewitt and myself and several others were involved in a conference call this afternoon focused on those smaller municipalities, and he may speak to it as well, but they're still kind of going through that needs analysis. We're still finishing up the search and rescue sorts of things, and I think the county is coming clear on those issues, but then there will be the infrastructure issues. Hope Mills is a great example. For all intent and purposes, they're isolated. They're almost an island, and those roadways are going to have to be restored in order to get them back in business. And I'm sure partnership-wise, if there's anything we can share, we'll do our best to do that. You probably see the effort right now with the commodities. The water, we're trying to get it impartially put to where it needs to be for the greatest impact,
Right.
and it'll build.
Yeah, I just would encourage us as we start, as we're working with NCDOT and there's common opportunities. Take Legion Road, for example. You know, we've got people out there working on Legion Road and there's work that's got to be done, you know, that's a great way to just extend a contract or whatever and work with DOT to get those things taken care of. Last question I have, thank you, is for the staff, and that is, we're out picking up trash and we're out picking up yard debris. With yard debris, are we still going to require everybody to have debris cut to 4-foot lengths, or are we willing to waive that with the large amounts of debris that we're going to have to pick up? Yeah, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. Loose leaf as well, because a lot of trees were stripped of their foliage.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Mr. Arp, that's a good question. Thank you for asking that. Of course, we have the debris collection contract going on starting tomorrow. So the limb debris does not have to be sized like it normally is, and that'll be collected by the contractor. What we are collecting on schedule is our garbage. Our garbage collection is on schedule. The only issue we might have this week with garbage collection is the Rayconda subdivision getting in there. We hope to have an access in there by Friday, which is their garbage collection day. Yard waste is also being collected in containers, bags, or your carts or personal containers. We're on schedule with that, except for the volume is a considerable amount right now, as you might expect from this weekend's storm. So we actually packed out all of our trucks today, and we were short getting a couple of subdivisions today, so we'll get those first thing in the morning. We'll probably also tomorrow, since we're going to be a little stretched with our staff tomorrow, we'll probably not finish a few subdivisions tomorrow afternoon, but we'll finish those on Wednesday, which is our normal collection, scheduled day off. So we'll be back on schedule on Thursday with yard waste collection, and this is, again, only the yard waste that's in containers that we're collecting. The other limb debris that you have, pile it at the curb, and that'll be collected by the contractor.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, that's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Art. Mr. Colvin.
Guys, thank you so much for your efforts over this past few days. I have a couple questions. You know, I heard a pretty compelling story today from the governor when he was here about a lady in the shelter. She wasn't in our community, but he said that all she owned at this point was her bottles of medicine. And we have a lot of people in our community that will probably fall into similar situations. So my question is, and this is probably more so for the city manager, you have certain people that don't fit into those molds of what FEMA requires. Homeowners, they may not be homeowners, they may be renters, so they don't qualify for homeowners insurance claims. FEMA has a long process to get resources to people. Is there anything community development can do, or we can tweak or add some resources there for some small, maybe micro grants, micro loans, maybe $500, $1,000 may go a long way if you don't own anything but the clothes on your back. Any room for anything like that that you've heard or could think of?
No, sir. I don't know that our CDBG programs have that type of flexibility in them. But one thing that we do have as part of our CDBG programs are our contract and program with Fayetteville Urban Ministries to do the emergency repairs to structures. I also would probably go back to what Scott Bullard said as well. Depending on the amount of damage and the timing and whether the house is habitable and things like that, it may be a better idea to actually potentially use that, or also some of the FEMA programs when they become available. But specifically, listening to the governor's comment today about the lady who was in the shelter, I'm not aware of any of our CDBG programs that would assist in that. We do have other community partners. There may be some of Victor's programs, though, that would do for like homelessness or for emergency shelter, but if those are, we will definitely have those available. But I'm not aware of any at the moment that we have beyond those that I just mentioned.
And this just may be a future discussion topic that I understand the CDBG, for those listening, are federal dollars which have certain restrictions, but what I'm talking about is maybe a combination of some other resources where you can loosen some of those restrictions to review some of those possibilities for verifiable emergencies like what we're talking about. Because the Nehemiah project, I guess, I don't know how that would how that works with renters or people that are not the owners of the structure that they're emergency repairing, and how that works with homeowner claims and that kind of things. It may be complicated, but I'm just speaking of somebody that has nothing, that's left with nothing. The last point I wanted to make, hopefully as we analyze this after we get back to normal and you do your after-action review plan, I think I heard Chief Major talk about that. As we look at some of the departments, I hope the organization or maybe the council can review overall how we can be proactive. I know there's nothing we could have done for this event at 16 inches or 14 and a half inches or what have you. But, you know, we still have a problem in this community with infrastructure, and we hear that every day. So on the events that are coming, we see that they're coming more often and they're more intense for whatever reason. I'm wondering, is there anything we can do across the organization to get more proactive at some of these things? I know that Mr. Matthews is here tonight. Since the agenda's been altered, he's not able to share some of his historical points of view, but some of the dams that are not repaired and some other things to help us manage our crisis a little better. I know we won't be able to avoid it, but maybe just to manage it. So I wondered maybe some of y'all could speak to that.
Yes, sir. I think we're chasing the whole notion of resiliency, and that folds into it. Sustainable Sandhills located here in Fayetteville hammer the climate sorts of things that can be done as well, or at least be on the radar as we move forward with design and development. And there are a number of issues that you've touched on. If you'll indulge me, I want to plug a success story from 2011 that I touched on a moment ago. The Cumberland Disaster Recovery Coalition was a group of churches that came together after FEMA left town in 2011. And they helped those that didn't get all of the help they needed. They couldn't build you a new house, but they patched up things that didn't get paid for, replaced windows, replaced roofs. It's not the stopgap fix-all, but it made it possible for some people to continue where they resided. Maybe not 100% back to normal, but a new normal, if you will, for them.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Colvin. Mr. Moan.
Thank you. Mine is more like a public service announcement. I live out west, and many of my neighbors and some neighbors have Aqua water. And Aqua yesterday started texting, emailing, and calling that they're also under a boil advisory. And tomorrow morning at 8:30, they are going to have a water tanker with potable water at the base of their water tower in Cliffdale West neighborhood. The location is 6902 Sandridge Drive, Cliffdale West. They say bring your containers. They want to limit it to 5 gallons per person, and they will stay probably till like 8 o'clock, because they were there till 8 o'clock tonight. So, yeah, some of us have PWC water, some of us have PWC electric, but many parts of the city have other utilities, and we're not addressing those. Maybe down the road we think about it. Maybe we get some of these Aqua people here, these Lumbee or other power service providers, to put information out across the entire city. But for tomorrow, if you're an Aqua customer, you know, in addition to those points of delivery you're talking about with the water, now this is going to be a big tanker, so you have to bring your own clean bottles or gallons or coolers, whatever you want, up to 5 gallons, starting at 8:30 tomorrow morning. That was just a public service announcement. But thanks for everything everybody's doing.
Thank you, Mr. Moan. Ms. Jensen?
Yes, I have a question for Michael Gibson. Earlier today, out at Cedar Falls Church, they have a group that has come in. They're called the North Carolina Baptist Men, I think it's a coalition. But I had asked the mayor to come out and go out and meet everybody. On our way to assessing King's Grant, we found some kids that were playing in the hole in Kings Grant, so we kind of ran them off. So we went to the function at Cedar Falls, where they are giving away free ice and food and water, so that's another avenue for the Aqua customers. But as we were driving back, we saw these same children again, not bad children. So I stopped the car, and they were sitting on the sign. I stopped the car and said, "What are y'all doing?" They're bored. They're out of school. They're bored. And they're going to be out of school probably for the next 2 or 3 days, I guess. So my question to you is it feasible to have, can we give me an update on the rec centers, what we can do with these children, because they are bored, and you know what idle hands do.
Well, the rec centers will be open tomorrow morning at 10.
Okay.
And they'll stay open till 6 p.m. tomorrow. And then they'll go back to regular service on tomorrow's Wednesday? Tuesday?
Tomorrow's Tuesday.
They'll go back to regular service on Wednesday. Till they'll be open till 9.
They'll be open till 9.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just wanted to.
They were open today too.
Okay, just wanted to, and I had spoken to them about them, and I just wanted to make sure that we got that out there, that
I appreciate
kids are bored, they can go to the rec centers,
rec
and they are
centers.
open and ready to go.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McDougal.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to note that we have some local, small, disadvantaged business owners in the audience tonight who came wanting and seeking, I know, for some advice, and I don't know if we've had some words of wisdom or words of advice that you can afford them, and I know they probably wanted to have something to say, and they don't have the opportunity to do that. But I want this council to at least acknowledge that they were here, and these are just happen to be a few of the ones that I know on the lower end of Murchison Road that were wiped totally out. They probably, I don't know if they'll be able to even recover from what has happened to them 2 weeks in a row back to back, being local small businesses that they are. And is there any kind of advice or, and I know FEMA is slow and gonna be slow, but you got to understand that this is their livelihood. This is how they make their day to day. So at next month, when PWC bill comes in, they probably not gonna be able to pay you, or they may have mortgages on their building, and these are folk that are really hurting. I don't know if there's any immediate thing, and Mayor Pro Tem, there may be something that we need to look at as a city, Mayor, or that that we can do. I don't know. And I saw one gentleman on TV today. I didn't know him. I do know him because he's done some T-shirts and some things for me at CSI, and But these people, this is their day to day, and like he said, he has 15 employees that are depending on him with car payments, house mortgage payments. I mean, is there anything? Thank you.
I can comment that at least two in the audience I recognize Small Business Administration visited, did their paperwork, and it was all in process. Then we had the second storm. I see no reason why that process won't be finished, but it's state level and federal level, and I'm not sure how long that'll take. I don't know about any emergency monies that are available for them here locally.
Mayor, that means you got all these contacts in Washington. I heard one senator say you got a path to his door. And I know you know the governor. Make some things happen for these folks.
I can promise you we're working on it. I can promise you that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. McDougal. Mr. Wright.
Okay, just got a couple more. I missed down trees. I know in Hollywood Heights there's a tree that was on a line. It looked very dangerous. I don't know if they got that tree yet or not, but that was the day before yesterday. Just wanted to mention that it's going into Hollywood Heights off of Cliffdale, if they could check that out. The next question I have, I got a call from a renter, and the renter got flooded out, right? So they can't live in the house. The landlord or the owner, they wouldn't pay the rent because the landlord wouldn't fix the house or change the carpet or whatever. This was the first flood, right? And the landlord took them to court to evict them. Under these type of circumstances, when you're a renter, in this case of the flood, the rain, what kind of recourse would a renter have under those areas? Is there anything that we can do? Because now they're out. You know, they had to move out of the house. They couldn't stay. The landlord didn't repair anything, but he went down to get evictions papers because they said, well, we're not going to pay you rent until you fix this. They had children and everything. I mean, the furniture was lost and all kind of stuff you can imagine. But under those circumstances, can you help us to understand what a person would do as a renter in those kind of cases? And we might have hundreds of those out there now.
Probably at first blush, without considering the litigation side of it, we've had some successful temporary housing with Salvation Army. Comes to mind. Social services has helped bridge some things that are incredibly temporary. They're a matter of days and weeks, maybe, not long-term placement sorts of things. And there was a time when Red Cross would automatically step in, but with donations down and the demand on Red Cross, they're not able to do some of the things they used to be able to do. If we could only match them with individual assistance, which it's our hope that that's going to come to Fayetteville in the next coming days to weeks, that might be an avenue, but the renter is in a terrible predicament, especially if they don't have renter's insurance. I've heard some hard luck stories like that, and I'm not aware of any one thing at the moment that we can try to Band-Aid with it, but we'll lift it up to the people we're in discussions with and see what can come out of that.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Mr. Hewitt?
Yes, sir. For any of the tenant-landlord disputes, whether it's for flood or other disputes, people can also call our Human Relations Office. Dr. Anthony Wade and his staff, they also help with enforcement of the North Carolina Fair Housing, I think it's code. Additionally, any renter or property owner who's concerned about the habitability of their home, whether it be from the landlord has not fixed, let's say, a leaky toilet or unsafe electrical outlets, they can always call our code enforcement office as well and we will be happy to come in and do a minimum housing check for that. But one of the things that is also true is that you have times where the landlord has to make repairs, and some of those repairs can't be effected unless the tenant is out. Because you have things like you've got to replace all of the carpet, you've got to take up the floorboard, subfloor. And it has been times that I know of that people have had to evict a tenant so that they can make the repairs. But each individual situation is different. But if they will call our Human Relations Commission staff, they'll be happy to help them with that. And I'm also going to follow up with Victor Sharp as well. I do seem to recall that we have programs for people who are about to be homeless. You know, they are worried about some of like emergency homelessness grants and things like that may provide some support for them as well. But I've made a note of that, and when I follow up with Victor tomorrow, I'll be happy to circle back with you and the entire council on that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hewitt. Mr. Colvin?
Very quickly, I'm sorry, Mr. Tragos. This weekend we had a interruption of water supply, or at least decrease in water pressure. That's the scary one. As we look at backup plans for the worst case scenarios, was that because of a power? Because I heard two things. One, I heard that the power that was coming in from Duke we lost, so you had to fire up our generator, which I don't know if that was related to the water situation or was just water main breaks which caused that. But what is the backup plan? Because that's the scary part. If you go days and days without drinking water, that's a scary situation.
There's no way to plan for when a road gets washed out and you have water mains that get severed. Part of the advantage that we had was we did have crews standing by that as soon as we became aware of a main break, we were able to cap it off and valve it off and basically stop the bleeding, so we did not drain the system. And that's the fine line between having mandatory boiling water and having an advisory, in that our system was not drained. We continued to operate our plants and push water through the system. Even though we lost water levels in our tanks, we were able to maintain some level of water in those tanks so we can maintain flow through the system. And that was really the key. But you are correct. If you have, depending upon the line that breaks or the number of line that breaks, sometimes you can't keep that up. We actually were pumping twice as much water out of our plants as normal demand would be during that period of time. So that shows you the amount of water that was leaking through some of those roads that had the line severed. So there's really no way to have a contingency for that, especially when you have lines that are basically like a mesh throughout the system. You just have to be able to get to them and valve them off as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Colvin. Mr. Arp.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Trago, when we have our next PWC meeting, I'll have a question regard to the distribution system and metering. And I mean, now we have smart meters and we're able to tell when there's an issue at the house, a leak and that kind of stuff. But, it'd be nice to have, and you may have, smart metering along the distribution system that would tell you that your pressurized flow rate, you got to issue at that point, from that point to the next point. So.
Let me briefly speak to that. One thing that we were able to do was we were able to pull the water meters and found out those particular areas that did have low pressure. So that gave us an initial way to respond to areas that we believed that there was a water main break. In addition, part of our phase 2 implementation of putting in advanced metering is the possibility of putting in meters on the distribution itself, on the lines itself, so we can pull those meters as well and get those readings. But being able to pull the water meters, we were able to get some general geographical areas where we could concentrate our initial inspections.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Mr. Deason, I need you to come back up again. And while you're coming up, I do want to congratulate you on your upcoming retirement and in all the years, how many, 35 years of service?
Yes, sir, 35 years and 9 months.
And who's counting? And congratulations, 35 years and 9 months. That's awesome, Jerry, and we do appreciate all you've done for the city. I just want to go back. I want to make sure we got some clarity. On loose leaf pickup, are we picking up loose leaves, or are we asking the citizens to rake and bag loose leaves?
Currently, they would need to rake and bag those leaves or put them in a hard container at the curb, and we'll collect it that way until the loose leaf season begins. And Michael can tell you when that starts.
Okay, I just want to make sure I had clarity on that. Yes, and those will be picked up on their standard yard debris day. Yard debris day.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. And then the other thing is we're going to hire contract services to come in and help us to pick up debris. And I just want to make sure for clarity, that debris is limbs, it's household debris, carpet. How about appliances?
Everything.
Okay, so we're going to pick appliances up, construction materials, cabinets, shingles, anything you put by the road, put it in a tidy little pile, and the contractor's going to come pick that up. And which day can they anticipate that will be picked up?
It will be a rolling contract. We will know more tomorrow once we have the contractor, meeting with the contractor. I would anticipate if it's as it was before, it may be several passes for the duration, but we will have that information out once we have our initial meeting with the contractor tomorrow morning.
And we just want to remind everybody too, when you put that stuff out, leave room on the curb for stormwater to run and not for that debris to wash into our storm drains.
And not to put it under, directly under power lines in case we have to use some type of boom or
mechanical equipment to pick it up.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
One other thing I wanted to bring up too is our recycling contractor has experienced some significant water at their site. Their fuel site is underwater. They've lost a few vehicles at the site, so they are suspending recycling collection until further notice. They have a staff meeting tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and following that meeting, I'll be able to update council on when, if they can get started back again.
So based on that news that we're not going to be able to pick up recyclables, we're asking our citizens to take those recyclables and place them in their household waste containers.
No, I wouldn't say not do that, but just bring it back to the house until they hear. I don't suspect it'll be too long before they'll have a backup plan in place, and hopefully it'll only be a 1-week delay. I'm not sure at this point, but we could find out
So
tomorrow.
go ahead and just fill your container, and if you have any excess overflow, bag it and just wait till they can come back and pick your recyclables up.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arp. To wrap up, thank you, staff, very much. Scott, thank you again for all the hours you've put in. What Fayetteville has been through past 72 hours is what most cities have nightmares about. We came through it with no confirmed loss of life. Council, we're very lucky for that. Our neighbors just to the south and to the east are not as lucky. They have been completely devastated. I feel that we are and will receive resources over time from the calls and my friends, Mr. McDougal, that have reached out to me, including our friends at the governor's office and with DOT and the state EOC. Senator Tillis called, Congressman Price, Congressman Hudson, Congressman Pittenger called. We've got some of the best city staff of any municipality in North Carolina. Our 911 operators and our first responders, our fire department, our police department, like no other. Those in EOC operations that I think many slept there. Our counties and our partners in the county government, they were there throughout the whole time too. PWC staff, Mr. Trago, you should be very proud. Those linemen, they've done a real good job. When it comes to our residents, the storm is not over. We've still got a few days left. We've got months, possibly a year or two left on some of the construction projects that have been torn up overnight. Our infrastructure projects. May I remind everybody, if you see a road closed, do not drive through it. If you see cones or signs, pay attention. Those cones are not there for suggestions. That means the road is closed. Use good common sense. Of the 66 counties originally issued for the state of emergency, 31 of them have been affected by this storm. Our 911 center, which typically gets about 5,500 calls in a 72-hour period, has received over 10,042 calls. I would like to ask this council if we could put a special recognition in place at some point in the future to recognize those city staff who've done outstanding things in our community, including the first responders. Mr. Major, today while traveling with the governor, I had one of the state troopers say, you've got 2 guys on your department. I believe they're in the fire department, a Brian Mims and a Kevin Dove. Are they yours? The trooper said he was in need and they went above and beyond to help him out. I'd like to recognize them. We've got outstanding staff, council. I'm very proud of our city. I would like to remind everybody that City Hall will be open tomorrow starting at 10 a.m. I would ask our citizens if they have needs that they can call City Hall and we will route them to the correct place. If they are in fear of any bodily harm or need to alert us for anything, any emergencies, dial 911. We are still under a water boil advisory for how long? The next week or so, probably?
If the tests come back clean, we may be able to release it later this week.
Okay, at least probably till the end of the week, so please pay attention to that. That includes, ladies and gentlemen, your ice maker. And I know it's hard to boil your ice cubes and get anything out of it, but just work through that one, okay? But primarily would like to commend you, Mr. Manager, and your staff for the great jobs they've done. Council, with no other announcements, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
One.
Oh, we have a budget amendment, Mr.
Budget.
Mayor Pro Tem thought we were finished. I'm sorry. Ms. Tracy Broyles.
Mayor and members of council, before you on the desk, you should have a copy of a budget ordinance amendment. We'd like to consider adoption this
Council,
evening.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr.
Second.
Is there a second? That was a joke. Seconded by Councilmember Deviere. Council, discussion. Seeing none, I'll ask for your vote. And now, very important, because I'm sorry, we probably should have done this, Ms. Jensen, Mr. Deviere. That's unanimous, Madam Clerk. We've all read that, by the way. But Ms. Broyles, tell it, that's a very important thing that we just did, and I made light of it. I apologize. Go over this important document, please.
This is just an initial budget appropriation. Obviously, all of the first responders and all of the activities that have happened related to the storm, we are incurring significant expenditures, and this will continue to grow over time. What we have done is appropriate $1.5 million for an initial appropriation for those expenditures. I'm sure that we'll be coming back to you in the weeks to come as estimates for the damage restoration and the debris removal are tabulated. So this is just the beginning, and we are anticipating the 75% federal reimbursement. And in past disasters, as Mr. Bullard mentioned, there are times when the state has stepped up as well to help us with that 25% share.
Ms. Broyles, how healthy are we in our fund balance?
This is the reason why we have fund balance, our rainy day emergency fund, so this is not a concern for us at this point, sir.
Thank you very much. Council, I'll entertain that motion now.
So moved.
Mayor Pro Tem, thank you.